What is the reality of client services today?
Over the years that I've seen, we can't ignore AI. AI is here. It's not going away. I think a lot of people, they misunderstand AI as well. And there's a lot of fear out there on the impact that AI might have on either the work that they're creating themselves.
Looking ahead, what advice would you give client service leaders who want to excel?
Just pick a tool and ensure that it's being used by the company, and it'll transform your business.
Hello and welcome to Tech Transformed, the podcast that explores how technology is reshaping the enterprise landscape. I'm your host, Christina Stadopoulos, founder of Dare to Data. In this episode, we're diving into client services, the pressures that teams face, the challenges of fragmented tools, and how AI is streamlining workflows. Joining us is Daniel McKay, co-founder and CEO of teamwork.com. Daniel is passionate about helping teams work smarter, protect margins, and keep humans at the center of client relationships. He brings years of experience navigating the challenges of client services and scaling technology solutions. So, Daniel, welcome. I'm very excited to have you on the show. Before we dive in, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what you and your team do at teamwork.com?
Sure, Christina, and thank you very much for having me on today. Really looking forward to a good conversation. Certainly about client work. That's something I know a lot about. We started an agency 18 years ago. So we came from this world, and then we needed tooling ourselves. So we built the tool perfect for the types of jobs that we were doing. So looking forward to exploring that a little bit more in a minute. For myself, I'm CEO of teamwork.com. We're based in the south of Ireland. That's where our headquarters are. We have a large presence in Denver in the US, where our sales and CS teams are, and we have a development team and support team in Gdansk in Poland. So we have good coverage right across the world. So Teamwork we started out as project management, but we found that there are a lot of client work and service teams around the world all battling some of the challenges that you mentioned on the introduction. So Teamwork today is actually a platform comprising of project management, resource management, and financial management. And we like to think of this as kind of like a Venn diagram, and right in the middle then are the client work firms. So in the last 2 years, we've been really expanding the platform really with a focus on AI and how we can use AI to cut down some of the manual work and actually let people focus on the work they're meant to be hired to do and not fighting the tooling around it. So that's kind of the journey we've been on for the last number of years.
Let's get right into it though, because I can see that, you're very passionate about client services. And with this company that you co-founded, you are living it, you are breathing it. What is the reality of client services today? Like why are teams under so much pressure to deliver on time, to protect their margins, like I had mentioned earlier, and all of this while avoiding burnout? It's
a very good question, right? And it's actually, there are a lot of different facets to this. And I think anybody listening to this will resonate with some of the things I mentioned. Now, if I cast my mind back to when we had an agency ourselves and we didn't have software to manage the projects, it was chaos, right? So we really just acted on who was screaming at us the loudest, and we had no way of managing the projects. We didn't bill our time effectively either. That was the massive thing. We put huge amount of hours into client projects and we just forget to bill, or we didn't have the sophisticated tools to allow us to bill or track our time. Over the years that I've seen, we can't ignore AI. AI is here. It's not going away. I think a lot of people, they misunderstand AI as well. And there's a lot of fear out there on the impact that AI might have on either the work that they're creating themselves. Can it be done by an AI agent, or actually people that are working in client and service firms? Are their jobs going to be replaced? So they're kind of some of the areas that are top of mind for us, and everything we do inside in Teamwork is to try and help people in this situation, either by education on AI tooling, what's out there, and maybe how to use them more effectively in their business. Because ultimately, a service team, they're getting paid by delivering service work, tracking their time, invoicing their clients, and cutting down the repetitive work. And if AI can help on that and we can be a part of that tool set, then that's why I get up in the morning. This is the challenge that I want to solve, because I don't think that there's any app or platform out there that has nailed this from start to finish.
So let's focus on, you keep mentioning about the tools. So I think a large part of the strain for a lot of teams, it comes down to the tools that they're using. And I know that many companies rely on these very fragmented systems, right? For everything they do, the billing, the execution, the resourcing. Let's circle back to, why does that create friction? And why does it make it harder to maximize the financial results in the end?
I think first we have to look at how these tools get into companies. And there are some fantastic tools out there for time tracking, for project management, for resource management, for the financial management, for billing.
For every little piece, it sounds like.
Yeah, for every job that a client services team has to do, there's a great app out there for that. The challenge comes when none of these tools are really talking together. They're all developed by different companies. And you can wire up integrations, you can wire up reports and imports, but ultimately it's fragmented data. And part of the journey we've been on over the last number of years is to identify the key components of the software stack that client services need. And then we're trying to provide that value under one roof. And why that's important is because you might find a marketing team out there and they're happy using something like Asana. And you might find maybe the software development team are using Jira, and maybe the operations team is using Teamwork. And there's a lot of repetition. The immediate thing they try and do is trying to integrate them together. And you'll create, using Zapier or Make.com, you'll try and get the data to work between these systems. But ultimately, it'll never work. You'll never get a perfect picture of your data, which will actually hold you back, because you won't be able to connect the time tracking to the execution. You can't map the execution to the resource planning, and all the teams then are no better. So what we're trying to do is create one platform with all these key components that work together, and you've one data set, which actually opens up huge opportunity for us in this new world of AI, where we can actually surface insights out because we've all the data in one place.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And what you're mentioning about every team using a different tool, I can definitely relate with that throughout my professional life. I think most people can relate with that. I want to get to the AI point, but before we get to the AI point, I want to circle back about what you just started explaining what exactly Teamwork is doing, that you're bringing all of these normally fragmented systems together into this one platform under one roof, all the data together. So let's think about this from a system perspective. What do client service organizations need, and how have you built teamwork.com with all of that in mind?
So I think when we've looked at this, we've talked to many, many customers that we have that have been using Teamwork for 18 years. We have focus groups, and we truly try and understand what their working day is like and what are the jobs that they do every single day. And we've come down to a very specific workflow, actually, that a lot of these service firms go through. And if you put yourself in one of these firms, a new job comes in. Either it's a new prospect coming in the door that needs work to be done, or it's an existing client that you have with a new body of work. And this usually starts in your CRM system. And the deal might come in on an early stage, and you don't know whether you have the capacity to take this work on. You don't know if you have the resources available to take this work on. And with the budget that is available for this work, you don't know if you're going to be profitable by taking this work on. So what we're trying to do is start from the CRM. And as the salespeople are working in the CRM and the deal comes in, they'll have very good insights into the resource allocation already of the team. And they might say, okay, I can take this work on and it will be profitable because the rates and the costs and everything are all being surfaced back to the CRM. And then they could say, actually, we can take this work on in 2 months' time, but I will need extra resources, and you can plan for that then. So we're moving the deal through what we coin the client work lifecycle, and it moves from the CRM into planning the resources seeing if you're going to be profitable on it. Then into the execution phase, which is actually doing the work, tracking the time. You need to create the invoice and you need to bill the customer. And then you need to have this repeatable. And around that, you're trying to make your people more efficient, and we're trying to cut down some of the manual work, which will lead us into the AI conversation in a minute. But that's kind of how we're looking at it. It starts with the CRM. It goes into a resource mode. You go. There's actually a huge amount in this bit, because you could say, okay, I have a team right now, and I don't know the best developer or the best marketer or the best person to put on this job. So you create a tentative type project with roles. So you just know that you need a developer. You just don't know who the person is yet. And as it moves through the phases, you get closer and closer to actually having a confirmed bit of work that you can go into the execution phase.
Gotcha. And you've mentioned it already, but the idea of all of this, that you have all your data in one place, that's really a key part of it. Why do you think that's so critical for client service teams? You've already mentioned a little bit of it, but how is this really changing the way that they work? You've already noted on some of it, but how is it changing how, they plan, how they forecast, how they're executing their work? Because you really are changing that entire workflow.
Yeah, we are. And if you think again of the person sitting down with the CRM and saying, can I take this work on? And they know roughly that they'll need 3 developers. And as it moves through this flow and you're getting closer to named resources, you need to know their availability. They may be on holidays. They may be on PTO. You need to know that they're available. So by us having all this under one roof, we're able to finally crack this challenge. Because if that was in your HRIS system alone, we would not be able to tell them that this person may be unavailable, or that you don't have a clear picture of the resources available to you to take the work on. Equally with the financial data, if the cost rate and the billable rate is in an external system, you won't be able to give the financial insights that client works firms need to actually be more profitable. And having that data all in one platform allows us to do forecasting into the future as well, which you couldn't do if it was in a disparate system. So we're really trying to get the core components under one roof to unlock this client work lifecycle. And if that was in disparate systems, that would be very challenging, which is why I think I stand by the statement that there are some fantastic apps out there today, but nobody has nailed this end to end. And we're on the journey to solve that.
So you're really breaking down those silos. Clearly, the data is living in all these different silos. You're bringing it all together. Now, when you have all those necessary modules in one place, you have all the data in one place, it seems like you are ready for AI. You've already mentioned it. So let's talk a little bit about the AI piece. How can this reduce all that manual, the time-consuming tasks that end up draining the teams, draining efficiency, draining margins? And one thing I've heard that's very important to you as well is that you do this, or you want to do this, but you also think it's important to keep humans at the center of these client relationships. You mentioned it before about jobs. It's not about replacing people, but it's keeping the humans at the center of the client relationship. So can you talk a little bit to that, and how this is really preparing for the AI use cases on top of it?
Yeah, sure. And while we're a software development house building a platform to solve the client work lifecycle, we are a business ourselves, and AI has an effect on us. So the way I look at AI as CEO of the company is in three segments. There's what internal efficiencies can we get ourselves by using AI? How can we extend the great features and functionality in the platform by enhancing with AI? And then the third one is, how can we actually leverage AI for growth, our own company? And then using those learnings, how can we apply that to the customers that we serve, that buy teamwork.com? And if we look at that, there are a lot of skills now that agentic workflows can solve for, and it frees up your human resources. So you don't want to replace them. You actually want to get more out of them if somebody is, let's say, a video producer, instead of actually producing the videos, they're actually brought up a level where they're actually spending more time getting a better video developed. So it's not the output as such, but actually their input into how the videos should be constructed. And that's where I think we can really help client work firms when they use teamwork. And our vision is actually to have teammates that work alongside you. So they're not there to replace you. So we would never go down the route of, let's say, AI employees. I think AI employees, it sounds kind of like that they're going to replace your job. But actually what we really need, and what I need every day as I'm using teamwork, is I need a kind of a buddy next to me, a teammate, and he's going to be, I can send him off doing tasks for me that'll save me a couple of hours every day, and I can focus then on the bigger things. So we have a number of AI teammates in the pipeline to be hired. And one of them would be one that can benefit everybody in a company. Because if you think of your typical company, be it client work, be it someone like ourselves or yourself, you've got people who, you might have 50 people and they all need to have, executive assistant type tasks done for them. Like, I'm a killer. I go on a video call and I should have read the document going into it. I just don't have time. So my executive assistant teammate will actually look at my calendar throughout the day, and half an hour before the meeting starts, it'll summarize the documents that are attached to the event in Google Calendar, and then I'm prepped going into the meeting. That's one example of the executive assistant function. As you move into the client workspace, then you have a huge amount of time being spent looking at resources on the resource planner. And you want to check, do I have capacity next week for this job? And the resource teammate, Frank, could do this work for you. It can identify bottlenecks well ahead. It can inform you actually of decisions that he has found that you should make. And actually, we can go one step further, and Frank can actually do that. And it'll free you up to actually look at the bigger picture. That's one kind of way we're looking at AI. And the AI teammates, they're essentially workflows and collections of workflows with skills. That's how we're thinking about it.
Okay. I like the way that you look at it. I wish that other companies would also see it that way, because like you mentioned, it's not about replacing the human talent that you have. It's about making them more productive, making them get more out of the work that they're doing, be more productive, and so on, get more out of their hours. So it's good that you look at it that way. And I've seen examples of companies that looked at it the other way and, thought of it like replacing people, and then it didn't go as they'd expected. So I think you're already tackling it the right way. I like that way to look at it.
Like, part of our platform is that we have a solution to solve client comms. Client comms is a big problem. And I remember back when we had an agency ourselves, let's say there was 5 or 6 of us in the agency. If I went on holidays, the client was emailing me directly, and that information was now outside of any platform, and the work stalled. Whereas in this new world, and with our product Teamwork Desk, we're able to suck in people's personal email based on rules. Obviously, privacy is really important and security, but you could say, okay, any emails I get directly into my own personal email from, let's say, Pepsi.com will go into the Pepsi.com project on Teamwork. So there's full visibility into those comms. And we can take that one step further now, where we can have a teammate that will automatically draft a response to any client comms that are coming in. So you can actually safeguard it as well and say, do you know what? I don't want you to send it because I just want to vet it, but it'll save a huge amount of time, maybe 20 minutes of your time writing the reply, So it'll be in draft, ready to send when you're ready to send it on yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I've got one last question for you, but it has 2 parts to it. And I want us to look ahead. So looking ahead, what advice would you give client service leaders who want to excel? You have a lot of experience with this, obviously. And also, how should they rethink workflows and tools to make sure they're delivering better results, and all while maintaining that human-centered approach? And then connected to that as well, what is the future of technology in the client services space?
Okay, so I think there are 3 questions there. We'll pick off the first one, right? My advice to firms, and it's just based on maybe my experience operating an agency myself, and now obviously moving into developing teamwork.com to help other service firms. I think the biggest thing that helped us was actually enforcing our own staff to use the platform. There's no point investing in a platform if it's not going to be used. I think the second one was actually forcing our clients to use our own software as well, because everything that I said will only work if you've got your employees using the platform to get those insights in, so that at a high level, you can actually see, am I actually profitable? Am I increasing my billable utilization rate? And equally with clients, they'll want to be part of this process. They'll want to send the assets that you need to get a campaign done. They want to see, am I on budget? Should I put more budget into this project? Where are we with the project? So trying to bring the client in as well. So one of the things we did back in our agency days was we just said a simple rule. If it's not in teamwork.com, it's not getting done. And it actually transformed our business. Everything was in one place. We had full visibility and transparency, and it was our system of record between not just our employees, but our clients as well. That would be my major tip for client work firms out there. Just pick a tool and ensure that it's being used by the company, and it'll transform your business. Being ruthless around time tracking actually is a second thing that transformed us, because we were a small agency and we had a lot of customers. We had like 200 clients, but I knew every one of them. You build up a relationship with your clients and they actually turn out to be friends. And it's so easy when they just ring you up. Can you just do this thing here for me? And you say, yeah, no problem. And then you forgot to bill your time. So you actually end up, half your week is doing work pro bono actually. And, it is a business, so you should bill for your time. So the only way to bill for your time effectively is to put in the tooling and to make sure that your staff and yourself, that you're tracking your time, even just for yourself, just to see where is my time going. Which brings us on to the next thing, which is, if I can identify where all my time is going, can I look at this and say, can this be done using agentic workflows? Or are there AI tooling out there that can help me cut down some of that work, so I can focus on actually running the business and making the bigger decisions to ultimately increase profitability? And yeah, so I think that would be a good tip, which kind of answered the second question. And the third one, where is it all going? I think, as I said, AI isn't going away. No matter what way we look at it, you'll hear out there that there's a bubble and everything like that. But actually, AI has transformed our company. It's transformed how people work. They're more efficient, higher quality, standardized output, and we're actually able to focus on the bigger parts of the business and not the smaller bit where all our time is being spent before. I was speaking to a government agency the other day with 100 people, and they get huge benefits from just an agent joining their MS Team calls. To have that transcript, nothing is lost. And then to take that transcript and actually, you can create tasks assigned to people. So all your action items, all your decision items, they're all pulled out of the meeting. And that saves time from people as well. But you have a clear picture of what was discussed, what were the actions coming out of it, and what are the next steps for the next meeting. So I think I wouldn't be afraid of AI, actually. If I was in a client work tool, I'd be looking at the opportunity that it would give people. And everything we do here today in teamwork.com is always thinking about how can we make client work firms more efficient, more profitable, and happier actually as well.
Perfect. Well, good examples and good pieces of advice. Throughout the conversation, the big things that I've taken is about the centralization of tooling, and then of course the data and AI, the importance of data and AI. We can't overlook that. So Daniel, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for shedding light on this important topic. Your insights really, and overall, it reminds us just how critical it is for these client services teams to have the right tools, as has been mentioned, to reduce all this busy work, to see how they can reduce it down, and then most importantly, to keep humans at the center of every engagement. So to our tech transformed community, thank you for tuning in. If you want to find out more about what we've discussed today, head on over to www.teamwork.com. If you found this episode valuable, please follow, rate, and share. Join the conversation on X and LinkedIn at EM360 Tech, and visit our website for more expert insights.